Hello and welcome to Reporters. Now, just over a year ago, one of the world's most powerful investment banks went spectacularly, embarrassingly, unbelievably bust. Lehman's collapse marked a massive tsunami in the banking and financial sector and the main catalyst for the global recession that followed, changing the landscape of the trading hubs the whole world over. Now, for the average Joe on Main Street, to quote Madam Speaker, few tears were shed for the greedy bankers, the fat cats on Wall Street who gorged themselves for far too long. Those who bore the full force of this credit punch were the lowly workers, the very lungs of the city's throbbing heart. Well, 1 year on, despite talk of economic recovery, despite incentives to boost investor confidence, New Yorkers are still struggling to stand tall. François Guette, Cyril Vanier and Willy Preciano travelled to where it all arguably began to see how they were faring. There in the Big Apple, so synonymous with plum pickings and juicy profits, the residents are hurting.
At first sight, New York is the same as it always was. Skyscrapers stand tall, banks pump out money at every street corner, and Times Square is, of course, gridlocked. But look beyond the shiny surface, and you'll find a city slowly recovering from a financial crisis that has spared no one. Neither the executive gray suits of uptown Manhattan, nor the cab drivers from Queens or Brooklyn. Lionel has been weaving his way through traffic for 42 years. He left Haiti for New York's booming economy, a place where hard work got you decent pay. And he still remembers the good old times.
In 1967, when I came here, the situation was beautiful. And you can see the big difference now because they used to have a sign all over the place, help wanted. That's mean they're always looking for people to work.
There are no signs anymore. Jobs are harder to find nowadays, and so are customers. Lionel has been driving since dawn, and he's only picked up 11 people. Many of his colleagues are driving empty. It's hardly worth keeping a list of passengers anymore.
You see the light on the car? When you see the light on, that means the car is empty. Nobody, no passenger in the car.
Lionel used to take home $100 a day, but that was before the financial crisis. Now he's lucky if he makes 80, and our $16 fare won't change that. Lionel, like other cab drivers, is just collateral damage of a weak economy.
You look at the recession, also you have a lot of people, use less taxi because of the economy.
How?
How? Because they don't have no job. If you don't have a job, how are you going to get money to get a taxi?
No jobs, no money, a ripple effect of the financial crisis that began in Wall Street just over a year ago. The trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange is ground zero of the financial world. In September 2008, these traders saw the market collapse.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now. You seeing this? The market's up. The numbers were horrible, but yet the market's hanging in here.
Alan Valdez has been buying and selling for 30 years. The last 12 months have been the worst.
It's amazing. You're up on that, Dennis.
Thank you. We're on the tape, Alan. Put them on.
It was Merrill Lynch, Den.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Indicators are on the rise again, and traders are a little less nervous. Markets have picked up since their lowest point in March. But Alan knows that outside the trading floor, in the real world, New Yorkers are still feeling the pain of the economic slowdown.
You hear all these stories that, okay, we're out of the woods, the market's doing good, but it comes down to one big number, and that's unemployment. And that's still rising. Even though it's rising at a slower rate, it's still rising. So that's what has the problem here. Until that turns around, no one believes this recession is over. Technically, you heard our chairman, Ben Bernanke, say the recession's over. That's from a technical point, but for the average person on the street, it's not over.
To gauge the health of the New York economy, we go to Queens for a tour of Worksman Cycles, the oldest bicycle manufacturer in the country. When the economy grows, they sell more bikes. When it stumbles, so do they. Wayne has been running the show here for 30 years. His customers range from hot dog vendors to multinationals like Boeing or Ford. He was having a record year last year, but when markets suddenly collapsed, businesses stopped buying, and almost overnight, his sales dropped 25%.
As the economy cooled off, a lot of companies we didn't have the demand from the companies that we normally have from the big companies. They were shuttering factories and laying off people, so certainly they didn't need tricycles. But what we've done to counteract that is we found new markets for our existing products.
Despite the new markets, with fewer sales, Wayne had to lay off 9 of his 68 employees. That's almost 15% of his workforce. The lucky ones were kept on, but their hours were cut along with their salaries. That's what happened to Ravinda, relieved that he's finally working full-time again.
It's the first time that I have a 35 hours work. I never had it before. I always used to have more. And now I appreciate that things picking up a little bit and I have my full 40 hours work. And my family appreciate that, and thank God for that too.
Orders are on the rise, and Wayne has rehired some of the staff he laid off. The economy is picking up slowly. But most people who lost their jobs are not being called back to work. Amy in Brooklyn has spent a lot of time with her daughter recently.
Come on, let's go. Go, go, go.
Fired from her job as a financial consultant, she's a recent victim of the economic crisis. Until August, she was earning $80,000 a year. Now, she has to find a plan B.
Yeah, you go on the slide, and Mommy's going to do some work. Okay?
For today, Granddad can watch the slide. Time is money, even time at the playground. Amy has decided that instead of looking for a job in a depressed economy, she would create her own. So, for the last 2 months, she's been working on her business idea, teaching first aid around New York for a fee.
I've been working financial services for a long time, and you know, this is something I really am passionate about, and I think it'll show in my parental skills. You know, if I'm doing something I enjoy, I go home happy, then, you know, then my daughter will see that.
Amy hopes to have the business up and running this November. She'll spend all her savings on it if she has to. That can be a risky move when you have a child to support, but it's the New York way. No risk, no gain.
There are risks. I can always go back to what I did and try to look for employment in the financial services industry. But if you don't take a little risk, you know, you don't gain. So I'm willing to take a little bit of a risk and see where it goes. I definitely think it's worth the worth the risk.
But everyone isn't in the mood to take risks. Back in Manhattan, we meet one of the top real estate agents in town. Michel Madi takes us to Hamilton Terrace, a trendy part of Harlem. Not so long ago, houses here were easy to sell. That was before the economic crisis. Now, buyers are afraid.
The reason for which this house has not sold and sold at a record low for the area, is only a matter of confidence. This recession has affected buyers' confidence to a degree that was really the highest I have ever known in 23, 24 years of real estate.
Confidence is so low that Michel hasn't sold a single house in 6 months. The first time in 23 years on the job. And the crisis of confidence has hit poor and rich alike.
We are here in the most expensive area of the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
The Ansonia is one of the most luxurious buildings in town, 2 blocks from Central Park, with an outstanding view on Broadway. Many celebrities have called this place home. Michel owns prime property here that he rents out. It's always brought in a lot of cash each month, but recently he's had to slash his prices to find a taker.
We are at 30% under what we used to get in 6 months ago. In other words, how much is that? So I was getting $23,000 in April. I am now at $16,000.
Since February 2008, real estate prices across the U.S. have dropped 13%. Michel thinks that the market will soon pick up.
People will have to trust we are at a very good level in terms of pricing, and people will start buying tomorrow. We are, let's say, October, November, December will be very active months, and the real takeoff will be, I think, as of February, April next year.
2010, hopefully a better year for the markets.
Amy?
And also perhaps for Amy. It's graduation day. She and a handful of other ambitious New Yorkers just completed a crash course in setting up their own business. The city of New York started running these classes at the beginning of the year, when it became clear that the economic downturn would leave thousands jobless. The aim is to encourage entrepreneurs despite a weak economy.
The other thing to remember is there's a lot of businesses in the American economy that started in the Depression, that started in tough times. So one way of looking at it is there aren't that many jobs, so what can I do? Another is entrepreneurship is about providing a solution to a problem. So this is a chance for people to say, I can do something about it.
Time for the group photo. Everyone say cheese and enjoy the moment, because statistics say the hard part starts now. Most of these business ideas will never get off the ground.
It's given me a boost. So I'm like, I was excited before the 3 weeks, and now I'm like even more excited. But at the same time, I also realized that I have a lot more work to do.
Amy was just one of 320,000 New Yorkers who lost their jobs in the year since the start of the financial crisis. If her business succeeds, she'll also be one of countless everyday success stories that make up the New York economy.
Okay, well, that's it then for this edition of Reporters. Until the next time, bye-bye.